Hello, hello. I trust this video finds you well, and if not, that it will leave you knowing the wellness that is already yours. Mm. 2 nights ago, I had a situation that was very difficult to navigate. The bare facts would make it seem like it shouldn't be difficult. One of the horses, C, earlier in the day had been basically limping, moving very slowly. I wasn't sure whether she had an injury of some sort or, well, my thought was that she was probably somewhat depressed because she was separated from Winky for a couple of days. I was experimenting with pairing the horses up a little bit differently, grouping them differently so that in the hopes that a couple of them that didn't have companions then would find companion. So she was in with some of the others because I had noticed that Iris really likes to be with Winky as well. So, and she didn't seem to pair with any of the others, so I was just shuffling them around a little bit. It was early in the day and she was moving kind of slow, so I thought maybe she was just depressed. So I put her back in with Winky. Well, when I came back for the evening feeding, C was moving very poorly. Her right front leg, she was kind of keeping it out to the side and was moving very stiffly. And I didn't think it was colic, which is very common for horses, I guess. Which is, colic is like an intestinal blockage. And the reason I didn't think it was colic is because when you put your ear to their torso, if you can hear gurgles and movement and sloshing and all of that, then you know the intestinal tract is functioning. And with colic, you won't hear much of that at all, if any. So I thought it was likely an abscess in one of her hooves, but I wasn't sure. And it was a little after midnight by the time I got around to her and noticed her, that she was kind of hanging back from the others. So it was late, and I didn't want to alert the owner because I figured she would be asleep and I didn't want to wake her up. So I had all this turmoil in my head about, oh, well, she'll probably be fine. I think it's just an abscess, and we'll get to her in the morning and she'll be all right. But then I reminded myself that no, I don't know what the actual problem is, and I just need to speak with the owner. Went back and forth with myself for a while. This is what made it difficult. Made this back and forth in my head. Mm. So I called and didn't get through, just got voicemail. And I went and prepared a stall because usually when a horse is having any kind of issue, we separate them from the herd and while we give them treatment and let them fully recover before we put them back. So I got a stall ready. And just the whole time going back and forth with myself. Well, do I call again? Do I go knock on the door? Do I, how do I follow through? Should I follow through? Should I just go to bed and deal with it in the morning? And of course, there's dealing with the empathy of that on both sides and just so much turmoil. Finally, spent about an hour just taking care of everything, doing what I could. I picked out her hooves, or used a hoof pick to check her hooves, see how they looked. They looked fine to my inexpert eye. But finally, I just decided no, I have to. I have to. I called again, didn't get through. Finally, I just went and knocked on the door and got the owner, and we gave C some Banamine, which is I think it's like a painkiller. I haven't looked it up, but that seems to be what it is. Also seems to help. And then some other stuff that I'm not sure what it is, honestly. We just put it in the syringe, some sort of medication, I think. Gave it to her orally, and she, I guess the Banamine has a pretty awful, very strong flavor, and so the horses don't like it, of course. But we got that in her, and then we gave her some pellets with um, these little Hepsulf pills in it, which knocks out things like abscesses. The owner said it's probably abscesses, and C seemed much improved even just the next morning. Yesterday morning. And she seems to be doing pretty well now. But all of that story just to point out that most of the time, the things that are most difficult for us are because we're arguing with ourselves. We pretty much always know the right thing to do, and we're arguing ourselves out of doing that. And this isn't always the case, but it is often. So, what are the ways that you're arguing yourself out of doing the things you need to know that you know that you should be doing? How are you identifying that shapes your belief? For me, this whole situation has helped me to see more clearly what it is I'm doing. What are the areas that I'm still not stepping in the direction that I know is most beneficial? it has helped to, just like all of the situations I experience, more and more, it provides me an opportunity to release, to move forward, to practice grace and trust and faith. All of these things mm, that lead to a more loving, more fulfilled, more authentic way of being. Mm. As always, I'm simply moving through each day, finding my way through, feeling what is the right path for me. It's all any of us is doing, really, right? With greater and lesser degrees of awareness that that's what we're doing. We're all just figuring it out. Mm. For my part, I'm experiencing a lot more clarity. Mm. Greater number of synchronicities, events lining up, things working out that I couldn't have planned better myself if I'd been trying. I'm seeing more and more that the further I progress, it's not the right way to phrase it, but as I continue down this path of practicing intentionality, carefully choosing my purpose, carefully choosing with care my actions, my thoughts, the things that I place my focus upon. Things line up more and more cleanly and clearly. I see and witness and experience greater and greater proofs of the existence of things like the law of attraction. Like is drawn to like. I notice that the people around me are often going through things that are very similar to what I'm going through. And the more openly we express ourselves to one another and with one another, the greater clarity we all receive. We grow faster. We experience greater levels of trust. We help one another solve problems, reframe, shift perspective. In the Bible, it says, where two or more gather in my name, there I am. The context indicates that when we practice together, it is more powerful than when we practice alone. We make greater gains. Because so much of our growth is not about getting better, it's about releasing all of all the beliefs we have that don't serve us, that keep us low. When we're gathered together, we have varying perspectives, varying experiences. Most often, the beliefs we have about ourselves prevent us from seeing who we really are, what our actual strengths are. Having those loving people around us helps us to see what it is we actually bring to the table, where our genius lies. Helps us to release those false perceptions we hold of ourselves. I believe it's in India, there's a practice, or not a practice necessarily, but something called Sangha, which is just a gathering, most often with a focus of spirituality or worship or mutual growth, or I think perhaps just even heart to heart sharing. It is Holy Communion. Gathering together of friends with a common goal and purpose of sharing in love and openness. These are the kinds of gatherings you go to where you don't feel drained at the end. You might feel tired because it's been a long day or whatever. But there's a deep appreciation and a feeling of being energized, invigorated, refilled, ready to face the next few days or weeks. This Holy Communion, the sharing among loved ones. It spurs that growth that is the carving away, the chiseling at the block of marble that is you, to reveal that beauty underneath. That is the work we're all doing. Releasing, chiseling away, allowing the waters of truth to wash away that which is not real. Mm. You are loved. You are lovable. You are loving. Mm. It is only fear that would tell us otherwise. Remember the truth of who you are and give yourself grace, kindness, with good humor. Whenever you feel you have misstepped, it is only another step on the journey. Every misstep, every mistake, it's an opportunity to grow, to see that experience with new eyes. Mm. And in that, it's a blessing. Mm. Go with love. Mm.